Well, welcome to another Diet Easily Back to Basics. Tonight we're doing something really exciting and it's seaweed. And I didn't know too much about seaweed until I came to live in wonderful Otago of New Zealand. And just a stone throw away in the bay, there's a beautiful spot to gather seaweed. So I'm into it now and very excited about it. So I think what we should do right now is talk to our nutritionist, Shana, about the wonderful nutritional benefits of seaweed.
Okay, so most people call this seaweed, but after looking at the astounding health benefits of this, I prefer to call it a sea vegetable or a superfood. So in my opinion, if you want a really good, cheap vitamin and mineral supplement for the whole family, it's really hard to beat the sea vegetables that you find at the beach or the sea vegetables that you go and get at the supermarket or Asian food store. So why are they so good for us? A glimpse at the scientific literature on sea vegetables is absolutely overwhelming. There's just so much information out there about seaweeds, their benefits and their uses. So what I'm going to do is just touch on a few of the key points that you really want to know about sea vegetables. So firstly, sea vegetables, whether they're like red, green, brown or blue, those are the main types, have a much higher nutrient concentration compared to the vegetables that you'd pick up at your greengrocer or your supermarket and even other food groups. So what does this actually look like practically and what does this actually mean? So if you look here, this is 8 grams of dried wakame, 8 grams of dried kelp and 8 grams of dried ground wakame. And we've chosen this to actually represent the seaweed that we're showing you tonight because this is actually a typical daily intake of some Japanese people groups. They actually have around this amount of seaweed in their food daily. So if you take 8 grams of dried seaweed, from this you can get around up to 3 grams of fibre. And this is great because fibre helps to reduce the amount of time that waste sits in our gut. This reduces constipation and the likelihood that you're going to develop colon cancer and other many great benefits of fibre. And 3 grams is actually quite a decent chunk or hit of fibre. When you think about an apple, has around 1.8 grams of fibre, a bowl of porridge has 1.3 grams of fibre approximately, and a banana has around 1.1 grams of fibre. So 3 grams is a good amount. Not only does it provide you with fibre, but also you get an amazing amount of minerals, a range of minerals from sea vegetables. So even though there are certain anti-nutrients or matrices or structures within the seaweed which help reduce the amount of minerals that you might absorb or that's bioavailable in your body, you still get a really good source of these minerals. So if you look at the mineral content, you're probably going to be shocked or pleasantly surprised. So 8 grams of dried seaweed has around 260 milligrams of calcium, which is equivalent to the calcium found in a cup of milk or 1 ounce or 28 grams of cheese. So it's a good amount of calcium. And not only does it have calcium, some types of seaweed have around 22 milligrams of iron. And even though that's non-heme iron, so non-animal iron, it's still 10 times the amount of iron that you'd get in 85 grams or 3 ounces of ground beef. So if you don't eat a lot of meat or you're a vegetarian, then you definitely want to take note of that. Also, the World Health Organization thinks that iron deficiency is a big problem and considers it to be the main nutrient deficiency worldwide. The World Health Organization also thinks that iodine is a big problem, iodine deficiency. And if you don't have enough iodine and you're pregnant, it can be a problem because you can develop cretinism in your unborn infant, which is actually irreversible brain damage. And also it can cause miscarriage. Iodine deficiency can also lead to fibrocystic breast condition, which is a benign lumpiness and discomfort of the breast, and that can actually go on to breast cancer. And again, we said that the Japanese people eat a lot of seaweed sometimes, and they actually have the lowest rates of breast cancer, and that could be a reason why. And actually, sea vegetables come to the rescue again because sea vegetables are said to be one of the most natural and best sources of iodine. So it's great for those minerals. And I've only mentioned 3 minerals, and there are plenty of other minerals, but we'll move on to vitamins. Sea vegetables also give you a good boost of the vitamins A, B, C, and E. and some trace elements. And in fact, probably things that we haven't even discovered as scientists that they provide our bodies with. And those little things that often you don't get in the terrestrial, or the nutrients that you wouldn't get in the terrestrial vegetables, fruits and vegetables, you can get in the sea vegetables. So if you don't like seaweed, then there are possibly ways that you can hide it in your food, or that you can actually make up your own fertilizer or things for your garden at home, which can incorporate the benefits of seaweed into your vegetables that way. But I personally like seaweed, find it very easy to have, and my kids often beg me for seaweed for a snack. We just chop it up into little bits. This kind is particularly easy to eat, and we just chew on it, and it's easy to eat, and I actually like the salty taste of the snack. So hopefully I've convinced you that it's a really good idea to try and use sea vegetables in your diet and in the diets of your kids daily.
Thank you very much for that, Shana. That's really exciting stuff. But what are we going to do about the practicalness of seaweed? Where are you going to get it from? How are you going to use it in your food, and so on? And you might have seen in that wee clip of us scrambling around the rocks at Blueskin Bay and to gather some seaweed. At this time of year, normally there's a lot of it, but there wasn't that much of it yesterday. But we did manage to get some. Now this here is bladder kelp, and I've got some here that we came straight from the beach, and it's all lovely and wet and glistening. And normally the seaweed hangs from this thing here called a holdfast, and it's on the rock like that. So if you have a beach near you or some rocks, you can go and gather it straight from there. It's all for free. But there's a few things you have to remember. One, you have to know whether you're able to do it. Your local body, your local council, the government, whatever it is, lets you do it. And here in New Zealand, we're allowed to take for personal use. And the other thing is, you can see that it's held like that to the rock. You really should leave about, this one fell off, that's why I bought it here, but you really should leave about that much on there so that the plant itself can regenerate, because then it's there next time you go back. But this stuff had actually come loose on the rock. So that's what it looks like when it's all wet. This is bladder kelp. And you can see that because on it are the little bladders that hold it up in the waves, and it goes backwards and forwards in the waves and gathers all the nutrients out of the seawater. It's fantastic stuff. And I like this. This is a beautiful seaweed to eat. And I'll show you what I do with it, just in case you live near rocks. Now here it is here, and I had this hanging up in the glass house outside because we didn't have a lot of sun today and yesterday. If it was a lovely sunny day, it should be somewhere airy, like on your porch, and it will slowly dry and go all crispy. But that didn't happen for us, and so I went and put it in the oven. Now basically, you just throw it in the oven. I put it on these trays, and you turn the oven on to just where you can hear the click and the heat starts. Not hot, because you'll burn it. And you let it dry over time until it becomes extraordinarily crispy. If you leave any water in it, what will happen is it will mould after a while. So nice and crisp. And then you can just take it and crunch it all up and put it into a jar, make it into tiny pieces. And I absolutely love it on a tomato sandwich. It's very, very tasty stuff. And then, like Shana said, it is a superfood. And I think possibly its greatest claim to fame is its iodine, because most of the countries in the world are iodine deficient, and probably we are all low-grade iodine deficient. And this is just a fantastic way to boost your supply of iodine, and for free. But I do realise that not everybody can go down to the beach, and maybe you've got pollution where you live, and so here is another way of getting your seaweed at a really cheap price.